You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
Oh, you know we're always the bad guy. This is Tim's New York Giants Straight Talk, powered by Online Big Blue LLC. Want to talk about Carl Banks. Oh, those that have been following this show for years and have been following the live stream, you really know at times I've had differences on some of the things that Carl Banks has said over the years as a Giant broadcaster. Mainly on the home team radio broadcast. I have never shied away from saying I thought at times he was homerific, and that he of course, and I even said it, and sometimes you have to eat some crow and admit when you're wrong, and we don't like fucking doing that here. But sometimes I would say, back in the day, that he would say things, then kind of make changes to his statement. I always go back to when he came out and said, the New York Giants are officially broken. And then he kind of walked that back after the game. And I pointed out the fact in my mind that I thought that, as someone that is, and I understood it, that someone who is paid by the organization, you are not truly going to sling the arrows of misfortune at that organization, because you are a company man. You have been with the Giants for since you were drafted and before you went over to Cleveland and Washington. So you've been that good employee, that good soldier. They're signing your paycheck. So you never want to rock the boat. And we've said it on the streams a million times. I understood that, and I get that. And it's not just Giant announcers; it's most announcers that a lot of times you just don't want to say something that is going to seem to be detrimental to the organization. But then I laugh, and I think about this, and I'm not saying there was a seismic shift. And maybe it's just me finally listening completely to what Carl Banks is saying, but to me there is a shift in his I don't know what the best word to use is. There's a shift in the way that he presents facts about the Giants. And he did a Belief podcast with Bob Papa a couple of weeks ago. I guess it was a Twitter space. And one of the things that I noticed when he was talking on the Twitter space was he was very open and honest the fact that, the Giants could have an opportunity to be better than last year, but by November, we could be in the same spot and be 0-8. And I really thought that was a prolific statement, because it summed up that he has a true understanding and a thought process that while this team is on the upswing, there is still lots of room for improvement, and sometimes we go overboard as a fan base in reference to thinking what exactly this organization is going to be. And we've done this for like the last 11 years, but I thought it was a very astute observation. And I thought it was very interesting that he said it and how he said it, that it really kind of made me take notice and I kind of started looking at some of the things he says in a different light. Well, evidently there was a post by Pro Football Focus, here we always call them Pro Football Jokers, where it says that the top 10 defensive lines are going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the New York Football Giants. I always think that's crazy. I thought that was crazy when I read it. I said it was crazy not too long after I read it. I posted about it being fucking insane, because of the fact that this team has yet to do anything. We haven't even played it down in preseason. We haven't even taken a full contact snap in training camp. And we're already having people anoint this line as the third best in the league. And I kind of left it alone. I kind of didn't think about it too much, because it just came out yesterday, and I kind of was like, yeah, whatever. It's just the idiocy once again of Pro Football Focus. But then you start seeing all these people posting about it, and all these people saying, no, we're finally getting some respect. Well, we haven't done anything yet. We've literally, like I said, haven't even taken a snap yet. And it just kind of makes me laugh a little bit. So then on Friday night, we had a local carnival here in our area. So we took the kids out to the local carnival and their friends. We had a good time. And then I get home and I get a text message from James Williams saying, "Did you see the Carl Banks post?" And I was like, "No, I just got home, so I really hadn't seen it yet." So I go and pull it up, and I see it says, Carl Banks says, "I say this with every ounce of Giants blue blood in my veins. Do not fall for this. It is poison." Now this is talking. He's reposting the Pro Football Focus thing. A defensive line that finished 27th versus the run has not earned the right to be ranked top 5. I love the talent upgrade, but I want to see a domineering defense, not read about it. Fuck what is written, show and prove. And the first thing I did was reply to that Twitter post saying that if I said this, I would have been told I'm a hater. I don't know anything about sports. Now, listen, I understand that the name Carl Banks, 2 Super Bowl rings, the Pro Bowl, All-Pro, everything else, and giant great. He has more of a cachet in reference to, to saying something such as this. But I just find it funny that if I said this, which I did say this, and I always preface it with, I think the line's going to be improved, but you haven't taken a snap and you have to actually play the games before you can tell if you were better, because you know what you need to do.
Time to nut up or shut up.
How many times we said this on the show? You got to nut up or shut up. You just can't say you're better. And I know the Giants aren't saying it, but people outside, the ancillary noises outside are saying it. Pro Football Focus is saying it. So I agree 100% with Carl's statement. Don't fall for this. We gave up over 2,000 yards, 15 touchdowns. We were ranked 27th against the run, and that has been a huge issue for the Giants for the last 3 years. And we've brought in new guys each year. They just have not gelled to the point of the system. And I kind of look at this, and like I said, after hearing what Carl said on the Believe podcast, or I should say the Believe Space a couple of weeks back, and now reading this. I'm changing his name to Honest Carl Banks, because of the fact that it's a valid point. There is so much validity to the fact that you just can't say you are going to be great without proving it at all. And for him to have the mental fortitude to go out and say, listen, they haven't done anything yet, and you guys are some people. I shouldn't say you. Like I said, I always hate painting with a broad brush, but there's certain people that are out there saying that we're gonna have the best defensive line in the league. Well, we don't know this yet. We haven't played a snap. And like I said, for Carl Banks to post this.
Do you see the light? What light? Have you seen the light?
Yes! Yes! Jesus H. goddamn Christ! I have seen the light!
And I laugh because, like I said, I've seen the light with the Carl Banks. Carl, I've seen the light with you, brother. I've seen the light. You have become like I said, maybe it's been longer, but what I've seen this entire offseason, you have become more of a calming voice to the Giant fan base, and a voice of reason. And while you are still getting that paycheck from the Giants, you're not bashing the team. You just kind of do what we do here on this channel, which we never get any credit for. You tell the truth. You telling the truth. You're taking, and I've said this before, Online Big Blue, New York Giants Straight Talk, we are not a fan channel. We are not a New York Giant fan channel. We are a channel that covers the New York Giants. and we cover it from an outside perspective. Yes, I have been a fan since '76. Yes, my first quarterback was Craig Morton. My second quarterback was Phil Simms in '79 out of Morehead State. You know, I lived through 83, 312-1. I lived through Ray Handley and everyone and everything else that went along with it. I was there for the miracle of the Meadowlands. Yeah, Pisarcik should have took a knee. Instead of trying to hand the ball off to Zonka. I understand. I understand all of that. I've been through all of that, and I've always tried to, when we do things on this channel, give it from the perspective on the outside, saying, listen, like Carl Banks says, I say this with every ounce of Giants blue blood in my veins. But then I tell you the truth, and I give you the honesty. And I love how some people are like, oh, you're on the Believe Network now, so you have softened. Fuck that shit. I ain't softened about nothing. It's just the fact that you are in June. You have to have some hope and optimism in June, because they've always said this over and over again. Everyone is undefeated in June. So we have to hope that continues into July. What was it, 22nd or 23rd, in reference to training camp, and hopefully that continues into that first preseason game in August, which James Williams and myself will be up in Orchard Park in Buffalo to attend that first game. But you have to hope you see a progression. You have to hope you see better, and you have to earn what is given to you. You have to earn it. It can't just be given to you. And that's why I think that Carl Banks was so astute in what he just said. And like I said, I have had issues with, and I'm man enough to say when I'm wrong, which usually isn't that often. Let's just be honest about that. That usually isn't that often. But I have been, and I think, that Carl has agreed to come on during the preseason in August. So that's going to be fantastic. And I think we're going to have a great football conversation, and a lot of fun, as we always do. But like I said, his opinions the last, since for most of this off season, especially on X, have been very clear, concise, to the point. And while he is still the New York Giants superfan, he is still the radio voice of the Giants along with Bob Papa. He is giving clear, concise information from a fan perspective, but also from a perspective of you have to earn things, and you can't just be given something. And I've noticed more and more of those posts lately. So I have to give him his kudos, his flowers, but there is a pitfall to all this. And that pitfall is always going to be, you are going to have people that take this the wrong way. And I don't think he's worried about that. And I'll ask him about him, and I'm going to ask him about it in August. But I just, like I said, I just have to. Sometimes you have to admit when you're wrong. It doesn't happen frequently here, but you got to admit where you're wrong. And I have to apologize for almost all the things I've ever said, because you know what I don't apologize. I've never said anything bad about Carl. I just we have fun with it, and I've never said anything bad about him. I just but like I said, it's just a very interesting Let's just put it this way. Anyone that follows the live stream knows I had a Carl Banks helmet on my desktop computer for years, and I forgot why I got mad at him and threw it across the room. But it's back on the desktop. It's back on the top of the computer. So he's replaced the Eli Manning helmet. It's back up there. Guess who's back? Back again. Carl's back. Oh, so that was it. I just wanted to jump on the mic and say that we got a lot of good episodes coming up on Believe and the YouTube channel. I have 4 actually really good guests that came in studio the last couple of weeks that we're going to be putting these videos up before training camp. We're doing a lot of guest appearances because of the fact that we just want to do something different until we get into training camp and we get into where there's actually going to be some information to cover for the Giants. I got a little bit of surprise reference to Giant camp and stuff, so I'm not going to talk about that yet, but you're going to have to stay tuned for that. So beyond that, check us out on Believe. Check us out on the YouTube channel. All that fun stuff. Make sure you also check us out on our new Giant podcast, New York Giants Generations, which I do with my ward, Young Ryan, from Ryan's Big Blue Podcast, where we talk about the Giants from different generational perspectives. That's everywhere you could find podcasts. Also, of course, go and check out Ryan's podcast and Ryan's Big Blue Podcast on YouTube. We're going to have a lot of fun stuff. And as soon as we get into the guts of training camp, like I said, we're going to have probably not daily videos, but we'll have every day or so. And like I said, also check us out on Believe and all that fun stuff. And as always, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to ring that bell because you want to know why. That'll be awesome.